Hello, and welcome to episode number 6 of the Blue Water Running Podcast. I'm your host, Marin, and this podcast features and celebrates the accomplishments of high school and collegiate cross-country and track and field athletes from the Blue Water area of Michigan. In this episode, we will be talking with Matthew Bacholzky, a sophomore at Almont High School. Matthew had a perfect 4-for-4 event-winning streak at the BWAC conference opener against Richmond and Cros Lex on April 9th, taking first in the 200, 400, the long jump, and the 4x200 relay. He sits atop the Blue Water area top 10 performance list in the long jump, along with several other events. Matthew recently won the County Press Invite at North Branch in the long jump, leaping 19 feet 2 inches. His personal best in this event stands at 19 feet 11.25 inches so far this season. He qualified for the Division III state meet last year as a freshman by winning the regional title in the long jump, along with qualifying in the open 400-meter dash and 4x400-meter relay. He even triple jumped this winter during the indoor season at the lab facility in Ypsilanti, jumping 37 feet 10 inches. Today, we'll hear about what Matthew would like to accomplish this season, learn what long jump training and prep look like, and get to know him personally as a Blue Water area athlete. Well, welcome to the Blue Water Running Podcast, Matthew, and thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me.
All right. Well, let's start with the basic question of how did you first get involved in track and field and how you came to participate in the sport?
Well, I started in 7th grade, which was the first year that we were allowed to do track and coming off the COVID year. I was just interested in it because I've always been sort of fast and I have a family history of kind of doing track. Like all my dad and his brothers and cousins, we all did track. So that kind of influenced me.
Well, tell us a little bit about the events that you currently do.
Well, so I did actually, so I run the 400 mainly and I long jump. Those are our two main things. And then I run the 4x4 and the 4x2. But a funny story about the 400 is I don't think I ever would have ran the 400 besides my first meet in middle school. I chose to run the 100 and nobody else was in the 400. And I had a rock, paper, scissors as a kid for the run the 400 and I lost the rock, paper, scissors. So I had to run the 400 and I've ran it at every single meet ever since.
That's an interesting beginning to your 400-meter running career because that seems to be the event that you really excel in. So It's interesting that you didn't even want to do it in the first place.
No, not at all.
I've heard that from a lot of guests so far. They say, hey, I got thrown in the 4x4 or, oh, I didn't know I was good at the 400 and I started doing it because my coach made me.
Yeah.
It seems to be a common theme, which is funny to me. Well, if there wasn't a 4-event rule in Michigan track and field, are there other events that you would like to add to your meet repertoire that you don't already compete in or an event you haven't tried that you'd like to?
Well, I would most likely high jump. I did that in middle school a few times and I was all right at it, but I was always better at long jump, so I continued with long jump. I think it's just high jump. I mean, a lot of the events like pole vault, that's terrifying. I would never try that.
Agreed.
And I tried cross country when I was younger and I didn't enjoy it. So I'd mainly stick with the events I do currently.
As far as high jump goes, do you want to share what your best was? I mean, are you comfortable enough to or confident enough to tell us?
I jumped 5'5" when I was in 8th grade.
Oh, that's pretty decent. Yeah. That's something to maybe build upon if you get the chance.
Yeah.
Well, I know that you're also a specialty jumper. So you've been very successful so far, indoor and outdoor in the long jump specifically. So tell us what goes into your training, your skill work, your preparation for long jump. I've never long jumped, so I like to watch it, but I don't really know how to do it or what specific things you would do to prepare your body to jump. And then kind of just walk us through what a season of competition looks like as far as you get ready for that.
Yeah, long jump tends to be kind of a weird event to train for. It comes obviously it starts in the gym. You got to work out a lot, got to do explosive things. But when it comes to actually like the track season, I actually don't jump a whole lot because jumping does take a lot of energy out of you. You don't want to jump too much around meets. But we have these. My dad just built a new. It's like a box almost, and you jump on it. Like you run up and you jump on it, so you have more time in the air. And we have a spring. We just got a springboard today, where you run up and you jump on it, and you work on your like in-air mechanics. Um, but generally in practice, you do a few run throughs, and then you kind of run and jump, maybe videotape it and see what you did wrong, and work on it. And then when it comes to meet day, you got 4 jumps to see what you can do with the practice you had.
I've always wondered with long jumpers, do you switch your spikes for jumping from the ones you run in? Because I feel like I would not find it comfortable to be racing in shoes full of sand.
Absolutely. I've ever since I guess when I first started track, I didn't have one, but when I was in 8th grade, I got a new pair of spikes. They're separate, and it's not just for the like uncomfortable aspect of it. Like they're built differently. Like there's a stronger plate in it. Like it's more structured around your foot and more like comfortableness, I guess. Like it's more built for jumping than it is for sprinting. And it like prevents there's like pockets in it to prevent sand from getting actually in your foot, which is very useful.
Yeah. So a long jump specific shoe is what you have.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. So where does one go about purchasing these long jump shoes?
Well, I got both of my spikes, my sprinting and my long jump spikes. I just got them online off the Nike website.
Okay.
But obviously, you kind of got to buy those early because they go off the shelves really quick.
Yeah, I'm sure that they're a very popular and specific item, so it's probably hard to come
Hmm.
by towards season time starting. So,
For sure.
well, talk to us a little bit about the triple jump. I know you haven't done it a lot, but it
Yeah.
is such a fascinating event to me. I have watched it in the Olympics and the World Championships, and I
Hmm.
I always think to myself, it doesn't seem humanly possible that someone could do that with their legs.
Yeah, I know.
So tell us a little bit about just your experience with that and maybe how it compares or is the same or maybe different as well from the long jump.
Well, of course it is. Like you said, it's a very weird event. Like, I mean, you're jumping 3 times, and I mean, you jump from one foot, land on that same foot, and then you jump off a different foot. So it's very weird, and it's like a little odd to feel for. Like obviously, I've only done it a few times, like you said, and I did all right at it. I technically qualified for indoor states, but like you said, it's weird on the body. Like it doesn't seem like your body should be able to do it. And I believe I saw somewhere it's like after that first jump, you're landing, like the force on your leg is like the greatest force you feel in any sport because of that like landing. And it's like because of that, I couldn't even participate in all my triple jumps throughout this indoor season because it hurt my shin so bad a few times. I just had to stop.
I'm guessing the injury rate's pretty high if that's
Yeah.
the event you're competing in, because like you said, I'm sure it puts a ton of pressure on your leg as you land each time. And you're not using
Hmm.
both legs, you're using one at a time. So,
Hmm.
yeah. Well, I know that you're also a football player, correct?
I am.
Okay. So, do you feel like any of your specific skills or training for football has translated well to track and fields and it's helped you become a better runner or jumper?
I say maybe the explosive aspect of football, like you have to get off the ball really quickly whenever the play starts, and like the running and jumping part of it probably translates pretty well. But you don't run for very long, so when it comes to like the 400, it might not be as helpful. But the long jumping aspect is probably pretty strong.
I'm wondering, are you more, let's say, more interested in football or do you enjoy track and field more? Sometimes we have athletes who definitely have a favorite between the sports that they compete in, but I'm just curious.
I would say I feel like a love for football. Like it's like very deep. Like I like feel very like strongly about football, but like I really enjoy track. Like it's something I really enjoy doing. But I like actually like love the sport of football, I'd say.
So you're more passionate about football?
Yeah, I'd say
Y-
so.
Yeah. Well, that makes sense. I think everyone has a favorite, and that's okay. It doesn't have
Hmm.
to be track and field, even though it's mine. Well, as we are looking kind of halfway through the season now, what are your goals that you hope to set in 2024?
Well, I think obviously there's some time goals that I want to achieve. Like I want to maybe dip down to the 51s for the 400. But the biggest goal is I want to be all state in something. Last year I was a few spots off of all state in long jump, and maybe there's a chance I get all state in 400, but I'm not sure. We'll have to see how that goes.
Yeah, I find it impressive that you qualified in so many events as a freshman. That's a pretty significant achievement. So that's something to
Hmm.
be really proud of.
Yeah.
Um, as we are looking toward regionals in, about a month, less than, what events do you think that you will probably focus on trying to qualify for at the state meet?
Well, mainly I've focusing in the 400 and long jump, but I would love to go with a team again. Last year I was in the 4x4. I'd love to do that again. I think there's a chance we might be able to do the 4x2 as well. So I might be able to get all four events. Like that would be dream come true, but you never know how it goes.
Yeah, it's always up in the air. Every regional is always different. So,
Hmm.
although one thing for us, at least D2, I know you're D3, but
Hmm.
D2 we're at least competing in the same location we did last year, so that's kind of a familiar track. But for you guys, are you going back to the same regional location as last year, or are you
Yes.
okay? And where do you compete for yours?
Stockbridge.
Oh, okay. Yep,
It's
I
a
know.
hike.
Yeah, that's quite a ways. That is definitely that's what, 2 hours for you guys?
Yeah, I we have a RV, so we spent the night over there.
Oh,
That was
nice.
the best strategy for us.
Okay, yeah, that works out really well.
Hmm.
Well, do you currently hold any school records for any of your events?
Not yet. I hope to break some, but I have some family like Nick. My uncle Nick and my cousin both hold records, and they were both state champions. And
Oh,
hopefully, I can
wow.
break their records. But obviously, it most likely would take being a state champion to break those records.
Well, that's some big shoes to fill then.
For sure.
What is one of your best memories or moments from your years of sports so far? And it doesn't have to be from track and field.
I think the biggest memory is we went to Ford Field last year to play in the state championship game of our for football this past fall. That's probably the best memory ever.
Yeah, that's exciting. I was watching you guys through the playoffs and
Hmm.
really hoping you'd make it all the way. So
Yeah,
maybe next year. I mean, you're a sophomore, so I'd say you're still pretty young. You've got lots of time left. So,
yeah, 2 more years.
yep, yep. Well, what are your hobbies and interests outside of track? What do you like to do in your spare time when you're not at school or you're not studying or you're not competing in athletics?
Well, I like to spend a lot of time with friends and family. Obviously, that's probably the main thing. Like, I guess I spent a lot of time with my girlfriend too, but obviously not too distraction. She wanted me to add, but
Duly noted.
of course, yeah, just a lot of friends and family.
Awesome. Well, that's a great way to spend your time.
Hmm.
Um, Now, I'm just going to throw this out there. Do you have a favorite track and field athlete that you watch and kind of keep an eye on their performances? I am going to ask you who your favorite athlete of all is, but I'm just curious if you have a favorite track and field athlete.
It's probably between I paid a lot of attention to Matthew Bowling and Hunter Woodhall.
Okay.
You know him.
I know who Matthew Bowling is. Yes. I do not know
So
the other.
Hunter Woodhall, he runs the 400, but he has no legs from like a little bit above the knee and down
Wow.
on either leg. So I love to watch him run. He's a collegiate
So,
athlete.
okay, so he's competing collegiately. So
Hmm.
uh he's running on prosthetic legs.
Hmm.
Wow, that is very inspiring. That's awesome. I'll
Hmm.
have to look him up. I'm interested to see that now. That's very cool.
Hmm.
All right, Matthew, one last question to wrap up our conversation. If you
Of
could meet
course.
any collegiate or professional athlete in the world, and they can be from the past or present, alive or not, who would it be?
That's such a good question. I mean, obviously, currently, I probably want to meet like either Matthew Bowling or Hunter Woodhall just to see like that'd be really inspiring to see. But I'd also like to meet like if it came to like a football player, I think Barry Sanders would be really cool to meet.
Yes, my husband would agree wholeheartedly. He was a big
Yeah.
fan and he loves to watch any documentaries or, like the ESPN, I think it's 30 for 30 about him. He finds it really interesting. He was an amazing athlete. And I wish he would have competed a little bit longer than he did. You know, Lions fans were a lot heartbroken when he retired. So, hey, we're coming back, right?
Of course.
Yeah. Well, Matthew, I appreciate so much you taking time out of your night to talk with me. And I wish you the best this season. And I can't wait to see what you accomplish next.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Once again, thank you so much for tuning into today's Blue Water Running Podcast. I can't wait to feature more cross-country and track and field athletes from the Blue Water area, so stay tuned because it just might be you. If you enjoyed today's podcast, please share and subscribe. You can find our podcast on major media players such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and more. If you have an idea for a great topic or guest you'd like to hear about, feel free to contact me through the website links or show notes. You can follow Blue Water Running on Instagram, X, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. You can also find our meet and athlete reports and articles at www.bluewaterrunning.org. Until next time, I'll leave you with this quote by Carl Lewis, a 9-time Olympic gold medalist who went 4 for 4 in the 1984 Olympic Games in Los Angeles, winning the 100, 200, 4x100 relay, and long jump, along with holding several world records. Lewis is the only man to successfully defend his Olympic title in the long jump, and whose indoor long jump record of 28 feet, 10 1/4 inches, set in 1984, still stands today. If you don't have confidence, you'll always find a way not to win. It's all about the journey, not the outcome. Life is about timing and overcoming difficult things. I want to be remembered as a person who felt there was no limitation to what the human body and mind could do, and be the inspiration to lead people to do things they never hoped to. You have to free your mind to do things you wouldn't think of doing. Don't ever say no.